Let's move on to the latest revelations with regard to the massive security failures that allowed this horrific attack on Donald Trump to go forward. Let's put this up on the screen. We're getting more details about failed communications on the day of. So the Trump Secret Service team is complaining that they were not told of suspicious person reports before the shooting. Now, this is a Washington Post report from Josh Dawsey and Carol Leonnig. Carol always has fantastic sources within the Secret Service. You always want to read what she has to say with regard to at least their narrative of what's going on. The subhead here is members of the former president's Secret Service detail and his top advisors have said they were not informed of warnings that were circulating before shooting at the July 13th rally, according to people familiar with the concerns. So they go through the TikTok here. They talk about how approximately 20 to 25 minutes before Thomas Matthew Crooks shot at the former president, local counter snipers noticed him behaving strangely. They sent his photograph to a command center staffed by state troopers and Secret Service agents, the head of Pennsylvania State Police told a congressional committee Tuesday. Members of the Secret Service detail that protects Trump and was with him backstage have complained to confidants and others inside the agency. They were never made aware of that warning about a suspicious person, because remember, he was spotted with a rangefinder attempting to enter the premises, and they were never informed of that, and they were also never informed that the team on the ground there lost sight of him and did not know where he went. They said they were not aware local counter snipers lost track or that another local officer hoisted up to the roof of a building just outside the rally site security perimeter saw Crooks perched there with a gun. This was also interesting to me. They say these type of communication breakdowns, because of the different radio frequencies that Secret Service teams use while working together and also technical failures, have figured into some of the agency's other significant security lapses. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but when a gunman began shooting at the White House on a night in November 2011, when President Barack Obama's daughter Sasha was at home with her grandma, an agent protecting Sasha did not know about the shooter for several minutes because the agent used a different radio frequency than officers and agents stationed at the White House, and no one had alerted him to the threat outside. That is crazy. And what's even crazier is that here we are well more than a decade later, and they're complaining, Saagar, here about the very same problem.
Yeah, what we learn is that this is an incompetent agency. It's basically been evident now for a decade plus. It took the most incompetent sniper attempted assassin of all time to basically just prove all of that in a single event that went wrong. And the fact is that we still don't have enough of an answer, because one of the things that we knew immediately was that this was not a single security failure. It was a confluence of terrible events.
Yes.
And what we're learning now is that all of the things that have been bubbling beneath the surface, the petition amongst agents saying that there was unprofessionalism, here we know about the decade-long problem with respect to communications. Now we see the Secret Service director who barely even wanted to resign. What we're seeing is that these institutions and agencies are almost more incompetent than you could have ever presumed, and that this is revealing, you know, especially video and other we're about to show from the incident, that the closeness call of all of this, it's only a miracle that something like this didn't happen 5 years earlier.
That's true.
Or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if this was a trained professional, it'd be over.
Yeah, game over.
This was a 20-year-old who got kicked off his high school rifle team because he was such a bad marksman. But to your point, Benny Johnson went to the location, braved the sloped roof, the dangerous sloped roof, just to demonstrate how close this position was to Donald Trump. Let's take a listen to a little bit of the video that he shot.
This is the trail of blood from Thomas Crooks, still visible on the building, where the assassin was able to shoot directly at President Trump from this exact position. You can see right there in the field, that's where President Trump is. I'm just on iPhone magnification. This is how close the president was. That is where the Secret Service sniper team was. And this is where no one was. Or maybe someone was, but no law enforcement.
Wild.
That's very instructive because you could see it's like a higher position up at the water tower, being on the dangerous sloped roof where nobody was supposed to be, how far people away. And yeah, I mean, iPhone magnification is a good tell because you're like, wow, it's that close. Really, literally just being able to zoom in like 3 times. And you could see that where the guy is standing. And you also see the clear vantage point of where the sniper was, the attempted assassin, and then just the failure, both of the law enforcement officials who were inside the building at the time, and then the lack of the perimeter that was set up. So the whole thing still remains absolutely nuts. But as we learn more about the communications failure in others, the lack of coordination with law enforcement, it all makes sense.
Yeah. No, you know, Kyle has gotten me into golf, so I've become very familiar with what like 150 yards looks like, and it is really not that far. So this was one of the questions AOC asked in the hearing when everyone was going after the Secret Service director, and then she resigned shortly thereafter because it was clear Democrat, Republican, didn't matter. They were all horrified by the total incompetence and manifest failures and stonewalling of any of these questions. And so AOC says, hey, this is one of the most popular guns in America. Why wasn't the perimeter inclusive of this range, which is so close? She wouldn't answer, couldn't answer, didn't have an answer, just absolutely astonishing. And so to your point, the local SWAT team from Butler, Pennsylvania, they were interviewed. And they claim, now, I do want to point out there is a bit of a like, you know, pointing fingers between the Secret Service and the local teams and whatever. That's part of the jockeying that's going on, and it's going on in the Washington Post, and is going on with these comments as well. In my opinion, the failures can be manifest across the board, across all of these teams. But the local SWAT team says, listen, we were supposed to meet with the Secret Service before this rally, and they never met with us. We had no communication with them whatsoever. Let's take a listen to that.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened, and we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday?
Not until after the shooting.
And by then?
It was too late.
So apparently it's common for the Secret Service to utilize local law enforcement resources to bolster their, you know, protection, their response, whatever. But you would certainly assume that since this was a common thing, they would have a common protocol in terms of integrating their communications and really being in touch about the plan. And that apparently didn't happen here whatsoever.
Yeah, the local, I mean, like you said, let's be honest too, there is some beef because some people said that the local cops confronted him and then they ducked away and they were afraid. Which is possibly true. So let's be real. But at the same time, blaming the local cops is not fair here because they didn't have the overall mission in the jurisdiction.
They're not the Secret Service.
Exactly. Their job is just do whatever they're told. So they show up and the Secret Service is like, get on that rooftop. They're like, cool, got it. You know, stand here and make sure that nobody comes in with a gun. Okay. But they're not the ones with anti-drone jamming technology, and they're not supposed to let a guy in with a range finder and having counter sniper teams who are supposed to do scouting missions beforehand and denying resources. That's their job. They're the ones who are ultimately in control. So I still think, even if there is maybe some culpability, that the local cops here are being done dirty in that they never should have been in a position where they don't even know that nobody's on the rooftop or anything. They're just supposed to follow orders. They're not the ones who are in control. So, you know, the responsibility falls on command, and that's the Secret Service director, the head of the detail, et cetera. All those people need to go.
Yeah, really and that's right. And, you know, yes, the Secret Service director has resigned. I don't think anyone should be comforted that the problems here have been solved because, as I just mentioned, you know, these issues with communications, et cetera, this goes back to 2011. So there are some deep incompetence failures here in terms of Secret Service. And just one last thing that I'll flag again that Ken Klippenstein was mentioning, he also has, you know, really fantastic sources and great knowledge of these agencies. You know, all the push is going to be, all right, now they need more resources. They need more money into their budget. And it's not that they need more money, it's that they need to actually focus on the mission at hand rather than having that money spread in a million different directions that none of us have ever heard of before that the Secret Service is doing that they really shouldn't be doing. They should be focused on mission number one, which is, you know, protecting the people that they are charged with protecting.
Absolutely. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.